Маяк передает легкую музыку.
Welcome to the American Dream Podcast Season 2, the show where I interview immigrants from all over the world to hear their perspectives of the American dream. I'm your host, Ekaterina. Привет. I'm in a studio with Laura Rubio.
Yes.
So you are originally from Mexico. You and I met a long time ago in high school and have never been friends.
Right.
Mostly because of how bad my English was back then. However, a few days ago, you posted a Facebook memory of getting your American citizenship, which got me very interested in getting to know your immigrational journey. So let's start from the beginning, back when you lived in Mexico.
Okay.
Where were you born and how was your life back in that country?
I was born in Mexico, in the state of San Luis Potosí. I lived there till I was 10 years old. So, close to 10 years old. I ended up, my first birthday here in the United States was my 10th birthday.
Oh,
so
how awesome.
Most of my childhood was there. Living over there, being a child, I feel like there was a little bit more freedom as a child. You know, you got to go to the corner store and, you know, pick up like a gallon of milk for your mom and feel free to do it, you know, walk to school, which like where we're from, where we came from Bolivar,
right?
No one really walked to school. I didn't ever see anyone walking to school. Everyone was either taking a ride to school or the bus.
Yes.
Here in Springfield, you see it a little bit more, but you know, there's still that insecurity, I feel like. Not in Mexico. Like you're in kindergarten and you're walking yourself to school, basically.
Same way in Russia. When I lived in Russia, I had to walk to school through sketchy forests.
Yeah, no, me too.
And when I told American people about that here in Springfield, they're like, how are you still alive?
It's hard to believe, but like I said, it's a different type of freedom, especially being a kid. So I think I had a really fun childhood. It was a little hard because my mom was over there raising 3 of us, and my dad was living here in Springfield for about 20 plus years. Seeing your dad only once or twice a year, that was a little hard. You knew he was there. We would call him, you know, weekly, or because I mean, back then there was no cell phones, but you would call him weekly, and that's basically the whole contact, the only contact you would have with them, you know, sending letters and stuff, because people still sent letters back then when I was a child. But yeah, it was a little hard. I remember just because my dad lived here, schools over there didn't want to give me like a scholarship, basically, because they thought my family was in a better position than anyone else. I mean, my mom was a single mom, so we were struggling over there. My dad, he sent money to feed us, to have a roof
like
over
a child
us.
Support.
Yeah, but still, like, some emergencies come, or like you need clothes or you need tennis shoes, and you know, those are the things that my mom had to like tighten her belt and use every single penny there. So yeah, it was a little hard, but I think I lived a really good childhood.
Interesting. So why did you decide to move here? When was that childhood dream over? My
dad was already living here. My parents actually met in Houston, Texas. For some reason, my mom's brother had an accident. So my mom was already living here in Springfield with my dad. And there was more jobs available here. Like, compared to Texas, it was very, very competitive over there. So my dad decided to move to Springfield, Missouri. And so they were already living here. My mom had to rush down to Mexico. In the process, you know, at the border, you have to turn in your permission, because the border, they need to know when you're coming in and when you're coming out. So my mom forgot to turn in. I mean, it was a rush. My uncle had an accident. Unfortunately, he did pass away. Everything was a rush. She forgot to turn that in. So then the government put a not a restraining order, but like a condition that she was not allowed to file for another visa or anything in 10 years.
Oh my God.
So that's how my mom ended up in Mexico and my dad here.
So how old were you when you moved here?
I was 9.5.
Okay.
Yeah, 9.5. I turned my 10 years here. I had to repeat third grade. I don't know if they held you back when you moved here, but they definitely held me back.
Actually, all the classes that I took in Russia got accepted here in high school, but we don't have 12 grades in Russia. We have 11, so that was kind of a bummer. So what was the hardest part about living in Mexico?
Really learning the language, because I mean, I was so young. I only knew Spanish. The only thing I knew to say was hi in English, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, like that third grade, that year I moved here, a lot of my friends now, if they see me, they're like, oh, remember like when you first moved here, you used to cry all the time in class. And I'm like, you know what? I do remember crying a lot in class.
But I wish I could forget that.
No, the thing is, I actually forgot. It's like I don't know if it's a PTSD kind of thing that you do, that you just kind of like forget everything that happened. And I very vaguely remember third grade. Like I only remember some of the things here and there, but I don't remember what happened. I don't know. I don't even know how I learned English, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, honestly, when I moved here, I don't remember the first year that well either, just because of the lack of information that was put in my brain and new stuff and the pressure of learning
it's
this
like
stuff.
You kind of want to block things,
Yes,
and your mind does do it.
Yes,
you know?
yes. So PTSD, I can definitely relate to that too.
Yeah.
What was it like when you first arrived?
It was definitely a culture shock, like for sure, because everything here was newer. Like, you know, the roads were all paved, pavement roads. I mean, in Mexico, there was a lot of dirt roads. And I guess that's one thing of America, because like they do take care of their buildings, of their roads, you know, transportation and all of that, making it available and making it easy for people. Compared to Mexico, you don't see that. Infrastructure, how different it is. I mean, in Mexico, everything's cement. All of the houses are built of blocks, and you know.
Oh my God!
And here,
same as Russia.
Yeah, and here it's like
cardboard.
Cardboard, exactly. I was so surprised. I was like, "What?"
Did you had any expectations when you were moving here, like as a 9-year-old, maybe from Disney movies, like that you're gonna be? Because I thought whenever I was moving here that I'll be bullied in school because of those Disney movies. So every time there was a new girl in classroom or in school, everybody's like, "Oh, look at her."
I don't know. I think I was just so young. The only thing I was really like, you know, really looking forward to, and that expectation was that we were finally going to have a family. My dad was actually going to be in my life. That was my, like, the thing I remember the most. That
something you were looking forward to.
I don't remember really much thinking, oh my gosh, like I wonder how it's going to be over there. I did think there was going to be a bunch of snow because of the Disney movies.
Really?
And like, I just thought like it snowed here all the time. I guess I didn't understand like, you know, the 4 seasons or, you know, I mean, I was only a third grader.
So the top 4 challenges every immigrant faces in the United States are language barriers, employment, housing, and access to services. How did you and your family overcome these?
I think we had it a little bit, I want to say a little bit easier than most families, because employment, my dad already was very well settled here as far as employment and housing, you know, but access to services and language barriers, I think they kind of correlate together. The lack of teachers that taught English that actually knew Spanish was very vague. There was no teachers here in Springfield in, 2006, that spoke both English and Spanish. So what did my dad do? He ended up asking friends in other towns around Springfield. We ended up in Bolivar. That's how we ended up in Bolivar.
Oh.
Because in Bolivar, there was an elementary teacher that spoke English and Spanish. And for my sister, she was in middle school. There was a middle school teacher that spoke English and Spanish. And for my little brother, who was in kindergarten, there was also a teacher that spoke English and Spanish. It was kind of like a fate, I would say, because you wouldn't think Bolivar out of any any towns
you would think a bigger
in Missouri
city would have that,
exactly,
right? More people.
Exactly. Like, and they had it. They had that service for us. And so we decided to move to Bolivar instead. And we were there for about 12 years before we moved.
So if someone you knew from Mexico were planning to come to this community and this country, what would you tell them to expect?
You're so used to just your country. You know, once you move to America, you do see so many other people from different countries. So it is a melting pot, you know. I didn't expect that. That's something I would say expect to see people from Honduras, or people from Puerto Rico, and all these accents and all of these different slang words and all of that. I surely was not expecting that. And that's something I would say, hey, get ready for that, because it's not just culture shock. I mean, it was a culture shock me moving from Mexico to Bolivar, but moving from Bolivar to Springfield, I feel like you don't see it, but it is a little bit more diverse here. Expect to work your butt off.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Because, I mean, that's what we all come here for, to work our butt offs and, you know, make something of ourselves.
So finally, what do you wish more people knew about immigrants?
I wish they understood that, like, we are willing to understand, you know, even if we don't know the language, we know our own language. We're all trying to express ourselves. So it's, you know, we're doing the same
our
thing.
best.
Yes, we're trying our best. Just, you know, give us a chance.
Yeah.
And like, some of us have accents that are stronger than others. Yeah, it doesn't mean that we don't know what you're saying. You know, don't scream at us. Don't like talk to us louder.
Yes.
I feel like a lot of people, I mean, especially it happened to me whenever I was in 3rd grade. They try to speak slower and louder so that we understand. But I'm like, no, just say it clearer. Like, or change the words, because like just changing the words around, you get what you're saying through. And how the English is structured, it's very hard to learn.
It is.
It's so hard because you're so used to a different type of structure. Just have patience with us. Honestly, we're here to work. We're not here to, you know, take your jobs or, you know, anything like that.
We're here to make this country better.
Exactly. We're here to make it better, to make our lives better. I want to, you know, make something of myself and make it better, make it easier for some people to do the same, you know. And I'm not just saying Hispanics. I'm not just saying, you know, immigrants. I'm saying anyone. Just make it easier and more employment and all of that. Like, that's what we're trying to do. You know, just support each other no matter where you're coming from, no matter if you've lived here your whole life or you just moved here last week. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like,
Plus, America is the country of immigrants.
It is.
Yeah.
Like,
so they should remember that.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Laura, for sharing your story with us. We got to take our break. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back. You're listening to the American Dream Podcast. I'm your host, Ekaterina, in the studio with Laura Rubio. So every immigrant that comes to the United States has a very different background and a perspective on the American dream. It's all based on their backgrounds and past experiences, as well as their cultural mentality. But apparently, the Hispanic American dream is no different from the traditional American dream. Owning a beautiful home, having a successful career, or being a business owner yourself. The main distinction for Hispanics is that the dream is not just about the individual, it's about family. Do you agree with that? Is that true? And if not, then what is the Hispanic American dream?
I believe that is very true. The Hispanic culture, anywhere you see it, it's very family based. A lot of times you kind of don't put yourself first. You actually put your family first. So everything's about the family, you know, like, for example, me right now. What am I doing? I'm not doing it for myself. I'm doing for the family that I plan to have later on in life. This car that I got, you know, what if anything happens?
Right.
If I have a kid in the next year or something, I don't know. It is very family based. We are here to make our lives better, not only for us, but really just especially for our families. I had the fortunate of having my my dad already starting kind of our pathway here, because he was here forever before we moved here. So he made it a little bit easier, but he's always said, you know what, work hard. That way you don't have to depend on anyone. Work hard so that you have your own things and you know that you own them. So yeah, the American dream for Hispanics, I would say it's very much the same, because you do want the best for you. You want to work, you want to build something for yourself, and you want your family to be safe.
What about you personally? How do you feel about the American dream concept? I know that some people think that it doesn't exist. Some people strongly believe in it, and some people just don't care about it. They're like, I have my own dreams. I wouldn't call them American dreams.
Right.
It's just my goals in life.
I believe the American dream has had an evolution, kind of, I would say, because the American dream right now is not the same as the American dream that was in the 1920s, 1940s. Mm-hmm. You know, back then you had to have your own house. You would have 4 or 5 kids, a husband, and a good job. Or for women, it was, you know, a housewife. Mm-hmm. Now, what's the American dream, especially for us women being immigrants? Mm-hmm. Well, independence. I was
just about to say that.
Independence. You don't want to rely on anyone to, you know, meet your needs. That's the American dream for me. I want to have a job where if I do have a partner, I'm going to help him, you know, get ourselves up there. I'm not going to base it all off on him. I'm not sure if I want to have kids. Mm-hmm. I'm really not sure. If I do, great. If I don't, or if I can't, life goes on. I have a dog. So for me, the American dream is being in a good place, especially peaceful mindset. Mm-hmm. I think that's how it has changed, the American dream, mm-hmm. because it was very like materialistic back then. Is that how you say it? I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know either.
You understand.
I do, for sure.
But now it's more like being at peace with yourself, you know, self-health, self-empowerment, independence, and all of that. I think that's the American dream now, and I think that's what I'm looking forward to.
So you already mentioned that you have an American dream. Mm-hmm. So what is it specifically for you? Is it materialistic more, or is it about your self-care, about the mental health, about the independence? Like, is it something inner, or?
I would say if I put them both, materialistic and self-awareness or self-health, in a balance, I would say the inner health would weigh more, because you want to be surrounded by people that you like, people that you know that can support you and that can lead you to having all of these materialistic things. Yes, I want a house. I want to have my own car, which, oh my gosh, I have one now. I bought it all by myself. Like, you know, it's the first thing. Like, you walk into the dealer and they're like, oh, you have good credit. I'm like, what? Like, at 22, for real? And so right now I'm an insurance agent here in Springfield. And I am an agent. I work for an agency, but I want to work my butt off to have my own agency, you know,
okay.
Be the owner. That's what I want to work to. I want to have that being mine. And I don't know if I'm being like selfish or whatever, but that's my American dream. Like, I want to have something of my own, something that I can have for my kids and family and people to like my family to come, you know, and be willing or be able to help them if they ever need anything. Mm-hmm. It does come into a materialistic thing, mm-hmm. I guess, mm-hmm. but you have to be surrounded and you have to be at a good state of mind in order to do that. So I feel like it's both.
Mm-hmm. Is there a limit at all for the American dream? Because let's say you reached and you got your insurance company. Mm-hmm. What happens after that? Do you get another dream, Or do you just consider that that's it? I'm done with my American dream.
I don't think there is a limit. I haven't thought it all the way through. I don't know if, I'm sure you can have 1-2 agencies, for example, or maybe I want to start investing, or maybe I want to move back to Mexico and just let my agency run here and, me chill over there in Mexico or something. I don't know yet, but I don't think there is a limit, honestly. I don't know if it's a culture thing, and I'm not saying that you're never happy with what you have, but kind of, you always want more and you always want the best. So if you want it, you're not going to rely on the government, I mean, I know my culture, it's not like, oh, go get help from the government and just live off of that. No, you have to work for what you have. If you're moving here, you are willing to do that. So I would say there is no limit. Only you would know when you are going to stop working for it.
So speaking of moving back to Mexico, if you were to move back now, do you think people would think that you reached your American dream? You are living their American dreams?
I think other people would think that of me. I wouldn't think that of me. I think I've come to a very good position where I have a stable job. I have income coming. I have a roof over my head, I have food at my table, but I don't have the ability to live off of what I have right now for a certain amount of time. And eventually that's what you want to do, know?
Yes.
You want to be able to just chill, lay back, and don't worry about how much money you have in the account. If I was to move back, I think I would find a job there very easily just because I know English. And they would be like, oh my gosh, she knows English, she's doing better than us. They would think that, but it's not true. I don't think I've reached my goal. I don't think I've reached my dream yet. Think I'm on my way there, but
so a lot of immigrants are thinking that whenever they're gonna come to America, they're gonna have everything just like that, and I think we already talked a little bit about that. But if somebody were to come here to fight for their American dream, what advice would you give them for that?
I would say really find the help, find people that will help you, and not to the way they don't do it for their benefit, but they actually make friends, find people that will help you get through while you're settling. The first thing that you do coming here is getting your own little house or apartment or whatever you have, whatever you want. As far as furniture and all of that, just take it slow. It will happen eventually, because that's what we did. We did purchase a few things here and there, but not all at once. Just take it slow. Don't overstress yourself. I understand that you want to work so much. I mean, especially for the Hispanic community, I feel like they lean more into construction working. They work, they wake up at 5 a.m. only to get out of work at 9 or 10 p.m. That is rough. Yes.
That's almost not healthy.
Yeah, exactly.
Not almost. That is not healthy.
That is not healthy. That is, yeah. I think just finding people that can help you, place yourself in a good job, place yourself in a good community, because not all communities are like Springfield. I'm not gonna lie. Springfield is really good at having help and all of that, and I don't think people are bad here. I think there's some tweakers, but I mean, you don't have to. You don't have
but
to.
But it could be worse,
right? It could be worse. But yeah, I think just advice: just don't work yourself out, drain yourself. Just take it easy. It will happen, and be patient because it does all happen when it happens, I guess.
Thank you so much for visiting me today, Laura. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram at podcasttad.